Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host of LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering Sistas. This is season 9, episode 6. I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video. You can also subscribe and leave your comments below. Now let's get into this episode. Okay, so we start off with Sabrina, which is most of the time we do start off with Sabrina, but it was a little bit heavy with her this time. This is the aftermath of kicking out Rich and also Penelope. And she's in her office and she's declaring she's taking her life back and she's gonna do me. And then Maurice said, "Do you?" And I think I have the perfect thing for you to do. What is that? I think it's time for you to become a 304. Now, for the ones who do not know what a 304 is, it is a go, but replace the G with an H. H-O-E. And she's down for it. However, Maurice says, I have got to take you through some basic training in regards to how to do this right. And since we're here, let's just talk about the whole thing. This is the more lighter side of the show. The other side wasn't as dark. We're getting someplace on the path with Zach and not so much Karen. But anyways. So, Maurice takes her through the fundamentals of if you're going to be a 304, you got to be a 304. Don't get attached. You are there to get serviced, and that's that. They don't get to come. They don't get to stay. What he said, the best way to get over a man is to get under one and to get back shots. We're not on a kitty app, so hey, we can talk a little bit. How about that? So he's taking her through, the process. Don't let these men do anything to you. Now, you in Atlanta, Karen, watch yourself in many ways. And not what y'all think stereotypically wise. Florida is the #1 fraud state. And I've always said that Georgia and Florida are like cousins. Watch yourself, and even being an HOE. Watch yourself, because you don't know what's coming in and out of your door. She was talking about, let's get me on the app. And he said, let's start you out slow so you can learn some stuff. Of course, he wanted to spruce up her attire. She thinks that she does so well. I'm like, no. Paige comes in and she just wants to know how Sabrina is regarding what just happened with Rich and Penelope. And she's learning all this black street slang as far as just being down with whoever. No outsiders can do this. Da, 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 da. And then she finds out about Karen is being turned into an HOE, and she has some expertise in it. Never give out any type of private information. You're always going to have that one that's going to be that clingy one, and you got to watch yourself in regards to that. Get a burner phone. That's what she suggested, and all that good stuff. So they did eventually invite Paige to go out with her as she's going to go find her next body, Karen's next body. Maurice goes to her home and gives her a couple of dresses. She laid out some stuff for herself, and he was like, no, you're not doing that. All that good stuff. So, yeah. So, we're on to seeing Sabrina become an HOE. How y'all think about that? You think it's going to be successful? I mean, just regular dating has been a struggle for her. And the stuff that goes through her mind that has ruined some of the stuff that could have been great for her, it's quite crazy. So, Andy. She's doing more investigation with Dr. Cruz, finding out that he just had another fatality amongst one of his black-brown patients. And the patient, whomever's doing some of the research for her, they give her the name, and she finds out it's an old law school schoolmate. So, oh, wow, okay, so the plot thickens. She's getting all this research and then got off the phone. And then she finally calls Robin and says, hey, I got your message. Thank you for it. Now, for me, I'm deleting the message because it's been days since you've even lifted up the phone. She said, well, I appreciate you pouring your heart out to me, but I'm not really in the place to have a relationship right now. Please understand. Da, 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 da. Hopefully we can be friends after he poured his heart out to you. Yeah. It's easier to be friends overseas, though. I could just imagine that, So whatever. Later on, she talks with one of the partners that she's with. I forgot his name already, but this is the one that was kind of the one to announce Andy last season that she's going to be a partner and all that good stuff. She tells her about this developing case that she wants to follow, this lawsuit for malpractice. She starts giving the rundown, and then we find out that Dr. Cruz is one of this guy's golfing mates. Here we go. Andy's pleading her case, and he's just like, I've never heard of that. I mean, well, who's going around sharing with you of how they feel about black people, especially about their health and well, every time I watch this show because of the subject, all I can think about is Dr. Jackie on Married to Medicine. But anyways, so he's like, I've never known him to be racist. Da, 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 da. Do you know if you're racist, sir? Maybe nobody has caught you up in something that you said. And it doesn't even mean that you're racist. You could just be ignorant and just saying certain stuff. You may just be blind as to what you think is racist and not, because nobody's really come into your life to really check that. And I think that's part of the problem. And that's just not to do with just racism. It's a lot of things that I think that someone that you're unfamiliar with could actually tell you about yourself. And it's up to you to acknowledge it, apologize, change, and move on. But don't be delusional and gaslighting other people, trying to act like they don't know what they're talking about when they come to you about stuff. Anyways, he starts telling Andy, you know what, it sounds like it's really personal to you, and you probably need to back off of this, you know. But isn't it personal to you because you're so quick to defend your friend? Because you haven't known him to be this and da 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 da. And she's telling you there's a plethora of cases that are coming together of this happening to black and brown women, and there's something going on there. So he wants her to basically drop it, but you know Andy is not going to do that. And I thought about it. It seemed like a good idea for Andy to be amongst the big boys, a partner. I have this feeling that the writers are going to, pretty soon, I think, allow Andy to start her own practice. What y'all think? I think it's the best idea. I mean, you're amongst all white men. But we'll see what happens. Maybe they want the story to develop and all that good stuff. And maybe her partner will come around. Other light news. Well, Danny, they always write her in this hospital scene, or not, airport scene, and you know the dude is trying to be very problematic, talking about he was giving her some procedures that he had to hand her. I don't know if he's training for it or whatever, but anyways, he wanted her to be enlightened about what's going on. And then he started talking about hopefully you don't have a hot cup of coffee in your hand, and she gives her reply, da 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 da. And then she said, you know, I got a stun gun that's fully charged, da 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 da, whatever. I think she called Aaron. Karen's not doing good. Still not doing good, but she's getting up, at least. She came out. Lady needs a bath. Lady needs some sunlight, all that good stuff. She immediately goes to the stove and starts cooking. And he was like, you know, I can do all that, da 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 da. Don't you want to see the baby? Everything else she was responsive to, but when he said, you want to see the baby? She had nothing to say. But she's locked in this zone, and she just starts cooking. So again, Aaron tells Danny what's going on, and she said, oh no. No. Don't eat that food. Karen can't cook. Later on, Danny calls Andy and tells her what Andy told her about what's going on with Karen. And they were talking about even her fried chicken was light-skinned and ashy. That's quite crazy. But anyways, they said, let's go get her something to eat. I think some gumbo at some type of Creole restaurant. So, cool. Pam had called Karen. Aaron answered the phone and basically told Pam, call back tomorrow, and hung up the phone. Yeah, she's not in a good place. One of my YouTube friends, shout out to Miss Shayna, she has spoken about her experience on her channel, and I'm going to see if I can tag her channel on this video, but she talks about her experience of losing her baby and the traumatic stress that was on her, even not even really realizing at that time as to how negligent her doctor was. She wasn't even in the place to seek that help out as far as the law. So check that out. But I'm gonna cue in her channel. But shout out to Miss Shayna. It'll be probably towards the beginning of this episode or this review. Look and see the stuff that I tagged in different videos and all that. So, but I can also put that in the description too. But anyways, looking at her, I don't know how far the writers are going to go, but I'm wondering, is she going to attempt to harm herself or even harm the baby? That stuff happens, especially from what I'm learning is postpartum is no joke. Now, I remember I was at this one job and 2 ladies were like, oh, postpartum is an excuse. I was like, I got an excuse? Something that you can't even control, really? It's not a, I was gonna say, sometimes it's a chemical imbalance, all your hormones are out of whack and all that, and then you're gonna tell somebody, or at least make that, to me, a fuller statement of, oh, that's not an excuse. As far as whatever the issues is, as far as how this person acts. You have no clue what's going on in their mind and emotions and all that good stuff. So, I know of a husband back where in Illinois, where I'm from. They had a baby. I don't think it was a newborn, but at least I don't think the baby reached toddler stage or whatever, but they had another child too. Well, she ended up unaliving herself with the baby. She drove her car and went over. She made an accident happen. But I think she may be alive, but I don't think the baby survived. If I'm not mistaken. I forgot. I'll try to get clarity by next week, but I'll see. Anyways, I was like, ooh, I wonder how dark they're really gonna go. Hopefully not, because this is still like a dramedy. I think they just want to give some type of picture of what a woman goes through, particularly black women. Bring some awareness and probably help somebody connect to this that probably did not have a voice, probably didn't even understand what was going on with them. So I'm loving the writers this season. Hopefully you guys are too. Fatima does call Zach. Of course he's still in his funk. Like, what are you gonna do? Oh, I don't even think he really wanted to even tell her. As far as the depression that's over his head right now. But I think he said he was gonna go to the gym. He does go to the gym, but I forgot if he said it or not. But anyways, he was just talking about, you know, all this stuff that just keeps coming and coming and coming. And Fatima's trying to lighten the load, like, hey, you know, better times. We are due for some good times. Just trying to keep the motivation amongst him and keep his energy and spirits up a little bit. He gets off the phone and goes to the gym. But before then, Fatima and Hayden comes in and he really wants to get on this case with all of these sports folks. He says, you know, it'll be good and of the best interest if I come a part of this because I know them a whole lot more than you, as far as how he has studied all of these sports figures. So Fatima said, okay, cool. But if you mess this up, your body will come missing. Zach goes to the gym and he ends up meeting this guy, Mr. Keys. Mr. Keys kind of just worked with him to kind of get him to open up a little bit. And it looks like Zach has a friend or someone to really start talking, because he just talks about, you know, it was one thing after another. Mr. Keys talked about his life. He lost his son to cancer. Then his wife lost his job. Things kept coming after another. Boom, 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 boom. But God won't give us more than we can bear. Da, 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 da. He was like, I hope not. It feels like it though. And that you can feel that way, for real. Especially for the heaviness that can be on you when carrying all this stuff. So he gave out his number, like, if you need me, I'm here for you. It's always good to talk. Da, 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 da. So it was really good. Zach said about being mindful of something, I gotta go do something. So Zach went to go and he went over to Karen's. I said, Lord Jesus. Nothing happened before the episode. That's how the episode ended. Well, next week, Zatima fans are going to be quite in a tizzy, especially seeing Zach and Karen come together. They both lost a child. That's all I can say. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying the show. I think we're on a good path. Now people are on the line, on the timeline like, where's Gary? I'm like, let him rest. Gary carried the season, last season. And I believe I understand the strategy of the writers last season. I think it was a chance for the other characters to breathe and to kind of reset, because they were trying to transition from season 6. They took over in season 7, and it took 2 seasons to kind of get things into a different place than what we see going on right now. And I'm enjoying the path. You know, I was going to give it a season or 2, and I'm enjoying it. You can see a clear path, or a clearer path now. But that's all I have. Tell me your thoughts. Like this video. You can share it. Any predictions of what's going to happen in a couple episodes, let me know. Until the next one, peace.